Hello and welcome back to The Climb, episode 2, the ADC episode. I'm your host Zach, and joining me today are my regular cohort Virgil,
What's up?
Owen,
Hello.
and Vincent.
Hello.
Now, you may be thinking, who's Owen? I've never heard this guy before. And that's why we're going to introduce Owen, an ADC main. Please, Owen, explain everything about you related to League.
Tell us your league story, bro.
Okay. Hi, my name is Owen, and I'm Emerald 3, Emerald 2 ADC. I started playing League. Well, I started watching League in 2019, like with Pro, and then I started playing League in like after COVID, I think a year after COVID, like 2020, 2021.
Mm-hmm.
At first I played Amumu full AP Amumu jungle, but then I just started playing ADC, so I've just been playing that ever since. Uh, the type of ADCs I like to play is like not like the opposite of traditional ADCs. I kind of hate traditional ADCs, apart from like Ashe. I play a bit of Ashe, but like Jinx and other stuff like that, I'm not really a fan of. So I mainly play Samira, Twitch, stuff like that.
Why don't you tell the viewers your username?
Yeah, my in-game username is Samira no ult. So like
Yeah, funny guy.
funny.
What
But
did
Which
you
means, if you
yeah.
see his name, you int him on site, and we'll give you €5.
Yeah, a bounty on my head.
Indeed.
First day. But yeah, so that kind of leads us into the theme of today's episode. We're thinking of doing an episode going like focusing on the state of each role, and we're gonna start off because we have a lot of ADC mains in the group
With the
with
weakest role.
ADC role.
To
Yeah,
the
with the weakest role, Kappa. But yeah, we're just gonna be talking about the general state of the role, what's going on in the meta right now, and any kind of problems or overarching themes that have developed in recent seasons.
Right,
So,
and to get right into it, let's, of course, we've had Owen explain his journey through ADC. Obviously, I'm sure in the last episode you've heard about Virgil and Vincent going a bit into it, but we'll go right back to that, seeing as we're focusing on that role. So, Vincent, your experience with AD carry specifically in your league journey the past couple of weeks, past couple of months, how long you've been playing it? Please, go on.
Well, for me, I've been playing ADC since probably season 10, I would say. Season 10 was my first start of AD carry. I think that was like where I really enjoyed it. That was when like Kaiser was still like really, really good. Even though like she's getting better right now, but she was like a lot better before. I again, I'm like really similar to Owen. Like I don't play traditional AD carries where it's just like you sit back, farm, and relax. I do like going in and just like being the guy, like space
Gliding.
gliding. Yeah, as people would say, space gliding. I really enjoy just like kiting people, and yeah, I mainly play Kai'Sa. A big, huge fan of Kai'Sa. Huge fan of Samira, and if I'm feeling it, I like recently picked up Jinx, and I find her like really really good. If I want to like carry, because she's like one of like the only AD carries. I think she might be the only AD carry where she can like break attack speed cap. So it's like that's like what's pulling me to her.
interesting, interesting.
That's fair enough.
Going over my ADC journey, I started off with playing League about like 5, 6 years ago now as a mid main, but I found a certain content creator by the name of XFSN Saber. And ever since like I just got hooked on his gameplay, I saw his mechanics. I was like, this guy's crazy. I want to be like him. And so I essentially became a mid lane main that was like also a Kate OTP for some reason. And just playing a shit ton of Kate has led me down the path of just picking up other AD carries in general. Now, unlike these guys who say they prefer like the more niche AD carries like the Samiras, yeah, Owen has a Kalista as well. He doesn't talk about that much.
Yeah.
I play the more traditional crit heavy ADCs, which also means that I I don't actually have a lot of fun on the more recent seasons where one shotting is sort of the meta. But my kate pick still works very well with the whole lethality collector, i.e. LDR. So yeah, that's basically me.
Of course, like Vincent rather. I do like playing Kai'Sa. I think she's one of the more fun AD carries in the game. One of the more interesting AD carries as well, based on how she can build a variety of different ways through her history. And unlike everyone else, I kind of just the only reason I ever played AD carry was because I kind of, when I learned the game, I played a bit of each role, and when we were playing in our group, right, I would kind of fill the void of whichever role isn't picked. But AD carry was always picked, and I got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm just going to learn this role because I don't play anything but Jin in it, and Jin is the easiest AD carry in the game, in my opinion, factual opinion. So I picked up champs like Kai'Sa, like Xayah, like Varus, and I made a new account for them, and honestly, I popped off on that account. I genuinely did. But because I failed promotions a couple times, I basically never went back to AD carry because I was butthurt about not making my promotions, and because Kai'Sa started becoming less relevant in the meta, which made playing Kai'Sa Xayah after that whole meta of them in like 2022, 2023, a lot less interesting to me because everyone kind of outranged you with the Caitlyn or the Jinx or the again even the Varus I played, right? But yeah, I also have pretty decent history with them, I'd say. Still a good role, still a very very powerful role in my opinion, which then leads me to go on to this meta right now. What do you guys think is the strongest AD carry right now? What do you guys think is really taking over the meta? Because there's obvious answers, right? But I want to hear if you guys have anything else to say about it.
Right
Well,
now, oh,
yeah,
alright,
yeah,
okay.
sure. Looking at like just win rate rise, I think win rate rise. I think MF is like really really strong. I've seen her a bunch of my games, and it's just like really infuriating to play against her. She's really fast, and she has this like really weird niche where she's like, here to either like one shot you, and then she's like really good in team fights. And she pairs really well with like the current like supports as well, like your mainly engaged supports. And yeah, I think that's why I think she's really strong. What about you guys?
Uh, I personally think, yeah, MF is completely busted right now, but like I personally think that crit MF with like BT Essence Reaver is stronger, and that lethality is kind of like weaker because of how strong tanks are, and crit scales better. So I
Hmm.
personally prefer crit MF, but she's mostly picked on lethality. Another like very meta and like very strong ADC right now, I think, is Twitch. Maybe it's not as picked, but crit Twitch with like Axiom Arcanist and Ardent Sensor support is the most broken thing. Like you just farm people. Once you hit 3 items, it's like the game is over. If you have Ardent Sensor support, there's nothing the enemy can do. If your positioning is correct, like 3 auto attacks to kill a character from off their screen is like completely busted. But it's like I like it because of how weak Twitch has been in the past couple patches. I like the fact that now it's like Twitch meta bot lane. But yeah, mostly MF and Jinx are very strong right now. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned the Twitch thing. I've watched you playing it in our Flex games. And when you say the 3 auto kill, the 2 auto kill, you're not even joking. It actually looks disturbing. I'll just be
Yeah.
farming the side wave, like, as I'm usually playing mid in these stacks. I like pan my camera over, because like, he's doing some crazy open. It looks really illegal. And then suddenly, like, their mid is just dead randomly, like,
Yeah.
2 autos. I'm like, what am I watching on? And it's because this fucking Axiom Arcanist rune. So, like,
And it's
it's like
some
single
lethal
target
one
damage,
shots.
except Twitch is kind of like AoE
Yeah.
glider, so it's a bit illegal combo. 40% damage boost on an already high damage ulti. But yeah, like the guys have been saying, MF seems like CEO of the patch right now. I think, like they said, the versatility of that champ is what makes her a winner. And with the respawn changes and the home guard changes, she benefits from her passive as well. Exceptionally, like, you just can't shove her out because even if you kill her, she's running back, she's out tempoing you, and she's always there first, which is one of the keys to finding impact on ADC is clearing wave quick and being there first.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something
Mm.
she like really excels at because even with her W as well, she has like permanent uptime if you just hit the wave with it. I think like you hit one item and then like as Owen said, if you get like BT Essence Reaver, you never run out of mana, so you can just perma spam the W.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
kind of
And
crazy.
one of the
He's really
defining
fast.
characteristics of a good AD carry, you'll notice is whenever any AD carry is strong, is it tends to be when they're strong at every stage of the game, and I think that's definitely true of MF right now. She just
Yeah,
has
yeah.
nice spikes on 1, 2, 3, and 4 items.
Yeah.
Like you get your first, something like often you're going a lethality item first. It feels good because you can like 1 or 2 shot people with the auto combo. It's just very nice. You can chase down with E. And usually the problem MF runs into is she falls off in mid game, or she's too squishy. But right now, Bloodthirst, the synergy, high tempo means you're getting all your XP. So it's just a very nice time to be an MF player.
Yeah. I also think feats of strength with the Swifties and her W passive makes her like uncatchable.
Mm-hmm.
So very hard to gank and to catch on sideways or mid waves.
Yeah, it's surprising, honestly. I found that obviously, a lot of traditional AD carries, the more traditional kind, right? Like Jinx, MF. You see a lot of them running Swifties. Obviously, for MF, it makes sense when because I don't know if you guys remember, but like, I think it was about 2 years ago when MF goes meta as well. It was BT again, but that was because, again, of move speed, she'd get a PT passive shield, so her W would perma up, so she'd have like up to 90 bonus move speed, which I would not doubt is the case now. She still is also building Swifties again on top of that, which means she does just have, like you said, the easy ability to clear a wave no problem and move across the map at lightning speed, like incredibly insane. Like no AD carry can kind of match. I don't think right now. I think the only AD card that can kind of match that, not based on the move speed, but kind of like based on the item spikes, I'd say is Ezreal. And I think the weird thing is a lot of people don't agree with me on that, but I genuinely think Ezreal's in such a good spot right now, and he's been in for a long time. But I don't know if it's feats or if it's just other AD carries kind of changing in the meta, but I swear that champion is always good no matter what. Except the one occasion he's like really not, which is unironically poke comps when he's up against poke comps. Sorry, but
Mm.
it's the same because I also would say on top of the Jinx MF, I would say also I said it a couple of days ago to you guys or maybe a week ago, but Kaiser I think is insanely good right now, like insanely good, and I think some of you guys were discussing the build right with the Shadow Flame fourth. That wasn't even my case for it, but obviously I'd like to hear your thoughts on that as well because I think Kaiser's shot up again to relevancy. I know what Vincent or Owen, one of you, telling me about the new build she has. I
Yeah.
wasn't too sure about that. I just kind of went back to playing her. So could you tell me about the new build real quick?
Do you wanna go first, Vincent, or?
Yeah, I'll let you go first. I'll let you go first.
Okay. So there's this new build on Kaisa where you go Static Shiv, Essence Reaver, Shadow Flame. Either that or you can go just full crit into Shadow Flame. And the reason it works is because she gets all of her upgrades, or even like I've seen some Static Shivs, Yuntal, IE, and Shadow Flame. It's like some wacky, goofy build, but it just works because it allows her to scale into late game with the crit and gives her poke with her W and the crit on her passive with her Shadow Flame. It's just a very like all around strong build. I think it's better like into squishy teams obviously because like on hit is better against tanks because of the Ginsu's passive. But it's a very strong new build that I think will be built in like pro play possibly. I could see that happen.
Do you think that you build Shadow Flame because it's like what, like 120 AP or like 100 AP on like when you buy the full thing compared to like before? Remember when you used to go like Nashers? You used to go Nashers because it gave the 100 AP so you can get the W upgrade and the attack speed. Do you think it's like similar case like that? Or what do you think?
I think that's really just a bonus because like the fact that it gives 100, like you one shot your W Evo, but the item is just so good on her. I think even if it didn't, if it was like 90 AP, I think people would like go another AP item like Ginsu's or like Zhonya's or something, just to be able to build that item because of how strong it like synergizes with her kit, like her passive, her W, and it gives her AP for her like her shield on her R. It's like very just a very strong item for that character into squishy, and I think it's just been like recently discovered. Just you don't have to go full AP if you want to build if you want to build Shadow Flame. Like you can build it with crit, and it'll just work because of how strong that item is on the character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay, so, well,
Kai'Sa has always been a champ that's scaled more off the amount of pen you get, and so like Shadow Flame is the single most like biggest damage spike you can get out of any AP item on its own,
Yeah.
and that's why it just fills the role so well. It gives you that pen, it gives you a high AP value, but it also means that a lot of AP damage that you're getting naturally from Kai'Sa's kit gets amplified as well by the crit passive. So it just seems to be like when you don't care as much about attack speed, it seems to be the best option. It makes
100%,
perfect sense.
100%. And you mentioned Essence Reaver in that build, right? Second item.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, dude, I swear to God, I said this to you guys like 2 years ago when I was playing Kai'Sa, like Essence Reaver is good, and everyone's like, no, you're lying. 2 years later, I'm right. I don't know how relevant it is to this, but I'm just happy I got that victory because fuck all you guys fingers.
2 years ago, that thing had a fucking sheen in it.
And
Yeah.
2 years ago, it was even better than it was because your Q and your auto. Think about it. Big
No,
brain,
no,
big brain.
that's you're slightly delusional. But I think right now it's so good because of its high AD, so you get your Q evo way earlier than if you're building Kraken Ginsus or like static shift Ginsus, because they remove the 5 AD of static shift, right? So you get your Q evo either if you get a longsword after your Ginsus and static, or if you reach level 10. And level 10 for your first spike is really, really bad. Like before, like I would either sit on a longsword and then sell it, or if I'm like behind, I get my 2 items after my level, so it's like fine. But with this new like build, because of how strong Essence Reaver like synergizes with her kit, like you can go Triumph now on Kai'Sa, and that's like really, really good. Like you can dive backline and then get a pick. If you're getting like 4-man, you get a Triumph proc, and then you can just E out, and it's really strong.
Yeah,
The
now
idea, the
thinking
idea
about
of
it,
having reset, yeah.
now thinking about it, Kai'Sa, like, she's really good on like the Evo like breakpoints. I never really thought about it before, but like when she gets the item, she also gets the breakpoints, and so from that, I think she's not like an item stronger. She's like an item and a half stronger because of the Q evolve or the W evolve or the E evolve. But it's mainly Q evolve, right? So I think like if she gets her Q evolve, she like pokes you in lane. She just has overall more damage. She just functions like a more rounded character, and I think that's a big part in her like how strong she is and how she's like surging back to popularity. Is because before she couldn't get to those like breakpoints fast enough, while now I think she can get them fairly comfortably.
I mean, I would say she still could because I mean, like I said, when you had static shift with Blown CD, right? You'd reach it. If you got to level 9, right, you get the evolve with your item, and you get your first max ranked ability. That's like you said, an insane power spike, like
Yeah.
earlier than most. But I think you're right about that. But also, I'd say it's mostly just the matchups thing, right? Like kind of Kai'Sa to Jinx. I really don't like that matchup in the slightest. I
No,
think it's
yeah.
the only matchup I genuinely hate, just because of how it goes. And I was like, if Jinx holds her traps for you to R in, you just never get an opportunity to kill her, like ever. It's quite frustrating, quite easy. But yeah, obviously, on not to talk too much about Kai'Sa, right? He's my most played AD carry, so I would have to yap about it. But to go on to other champs, like let's say in this current patch, Corki. What do you guys think about Corki, right? He was obviously a couple of weeks ago, he was super potent, super popular, even in solo queue. And he's gotten a little less relevant now, or he's getting more banned. Which one do you think it is?
I think he's still fine, honestly. I think it's just the champion has stayed.
Mm.
I don't want to say he stayed the same, but like I feel like the champion has relatively stayed similar to where he was. Maybe slightly less picked, slightly less stronger, but I feel like he's generally still the same.
Well,
What about
less
you
about
guys?
strength, more about do you think people are banning him more, or do you think people are more happy to play into him with these other picks like MF, like
Yeah,
Ezreal, like
I think they're
Varus?
more like willing to play into him. He's not like this disgusting OP champion that like beats you in like level 3 and it's just like headache to play against and stuff. He's more like okay, you can actually fight him. He still will be strong, but like definitely not to the extent he was. And I think that's the main part why people, and also a main part why like I think MF is really strong because she can like really fist fight with Corki because her poke is really good.
I
It's
mean,
like
MF, yeah, she does the same thing but better. Like MF
yeah,
just
I
does the same
agree.
thing about the better, because like Koki's whole shtick was that he'd be in your face way closer than most ADCs would, and he would just stat check you with higher damage. But now, why would you ever pick that when you can do the same on MF, but you also have that like team fight killer ulti, which is far more potent than any other ability Corki has. It's like
I
I think he's
personally,
fine. He's just not the king anymore.
yeah, I personally think Corki is still like top 3 behind Jinx MF. The only reason being is his role is kind of like with the new buffs on the lethality or like armor pen items, he's just a tank killer, right? Like he has armor shred, MR shred, true damage, like he kills tanks, but since he's close range and now that MF and Jinx are able to scale, like the meta allows them to scale, they can fill that role better, like with longer range. Like you said, yeah, Corki has to be in your face to stat check you, but I still think he's really, really strong as an AD carry. I think people are just banning him because they're scared of his laning power. And also, people still going Trinity on him is absolutely absurd. Like, just go full crit. It's way better.
Hmm. I haven't been seeing much of him myself, and I'm pretty happy about that to be honest, because just the patterns in lane just really don't feel fun against him. Whatever you think about this, like how he scales or how he plays team fights, just that laning where he can just sort of menacingly fly towards you and you're not really allowed to do anything. Less of that means happier ADC community.
Yeah.
That's perfectly fair. That's perfectly fair. And of course, like I said, obviously, Corky, you mentioned only think he's still top 3, and I think I've been over my what I think the stronger champs. And I think we're all in agreement on what we think is strong right now. But what do we think in terms of early carries? Are there any that are currently underperforming, or we feel like are very underwhelming to play in the current meta, or no? Because I definitely have a couple of opinions on that. But of course, curious to hear what you guys have to say first.
Buff Samira, man.
Yeah, yeah.
I really want her to be strong, man. It's just these champions engage. I mean, she's good with engage. Don't get me wrong, but like so much CC and so much like tanks. It's just it feels really bad to play Samira right
Give her back some lifesteal, bro. That's what she's missing the most. Come
now.
on,
Yeah,
Riot.
yeah, I agree.
She's like
Completely
whenever
misaligned.
she's strong, I feel like it's not healthy way either. She's just a champ that sorely misses the ability to itemize.
Yeah.
What about you,
Uh,
Owen?
I think Caitlyn, even though like you win on it, I think Caitlyn is pretty weak right now. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's her build, maybe it's the other AD carries who just outscale her, but I feel like she's very weak. Like just her item spikes don't hit as much as they used to, you know? Like when you see IE Caitlyn, when you used to see IE Caitlyn, it was like you're gonna get one shot with your headshot. But now, just like with the tank meta being a thing, and other AD carries just being just doing more damage than like a headshot Caitlyn with IE, like that's crazy. Like they just do more damage. Like Jinx MF Quirky, it's kind of crazy. Also, another AD carry that just got like kind of soft buff like change is Smolder. Now I've been
Yep,
trying to
definitely.
make crit Smolder work because of the changes with his Q. Like now you can build IE, so his Q does more damage. But I've been trying to make that champion work in solo queue. I'm always like 250, 225 stacks, 3 items, and I'm just getting outmatched by literally every other AD carry. Like he's so underwhelming. Like the crit is just so underwhelming, and you're because you build crit, like you build Spear of Shojin third, like you go. I think it's Essence Reaver, i.e. Spear of Shojin, which is pretty good. That's what they build in Pro. I like LDR third and then Spear of Shojin, but Spear of Shojin gives you like tankiness, but it's so like small and it's so underwhelming. I think the changes they did to him are not enough to like get him out of literally being the worst AD carry right now.
I feel
You
like
guys are gonna
that
hate me.
character is hard to outperform, like even with IE changes. It seems like it'd be hard to outvalue Triforce. Just the way he plays, like he's never really been sustaining fights that much. He just gives you cancer with the one Q, and then you can't step up because of the AoE. That's how it feels late game. I feel like that synergizes better with Troy.
Okay.
Hmm.
You guys are gonna hate me. I think an ADC that needs to get buffed in a way that like isn't just locked in pro jail is Zeri. I want her to be like slightly
What?
stronger. I want her to be slightly stronger. That I think that's just personal, because I have a personal thing with Zeri. Like, dude, that I love that champion when she was like not when she was released, but like slightly more down the line. But that I think that was when she was like the funnest. But now she's like, you can make her work.
Not the bruises,
And
sorry.
it's hard.
But what about
What?
Zeri? Like, what
It
do you
was
think
like,
about Zeri's kind of lacking right now?
I mean, I think it's her survivability into the tanks. Like, I think, I guess the shield like reducing. I think they should have like the amount of shield she like took away from people should have been even less. But I think that should have stayed. Personally, you guys might hate me for this, but like I actually really like that kind of passive. It was like really unique. Same with like the stuff like the Irelia disarm, like these kind of like really niche stuff. That was like, don't get me wrong, they were OP, but like they were like kind of like was I liked these kind of like little niches of these champions.
I mean, I would say with regards to Zeri, I don't think she's weak right now. I think the problem is
No.
though, like, because Zeri is kind of like Twitch, right? Twitch and even Jinx in a way, where the conditional for them being strong generally is you need a good enchanter next to them. And in this current
Yep.
meta, right, you're not seeing many enchanters. Like, obviously, you will still see Lulu if someone picks like your Jinx, right? But even then, you're more likely to see someone who's picking Leona, picking Braum for the Jinx to peel back, right? Like picking any sort of engage heavy support, which does I would say, you know, again buffs champs like MF to be more prevalent again. Because suddenly like, oh, Rel is such a good pick. What combos so easy to do well? Oh, Misfortune. Let's see, Kaiser's really strong again. What combos well? Oh, Nautilus, right? Like these champs again, as I think we've said before, if not, bot lane is two roles. Okay, so the way they bounce off each other is very interesting, and I think you got to understand that with the meta, right? Which is why I would say, unironically, you don't see, even though you got engage heavy teams, right? You don't see as many champs like Nyla, who would in theory work with that, but then she wants the more niche stuff, right? She still wants a kind of enchanter to work with her. And you think in this current meta of frontline, a lot of like, Pen needed, and Nyla would be really strong, and then you go, oh wait, no, because she doesn't want those kind of supports, does she? Whereas Zeri, like you said,
Mm.
does need that enchanter. And like again, who else is kind of weak right now? Smolder. I think the champ is also very weak, but again, Smolder, you kind of want an enchanter of Smolder if you're playing in bot lane. Otherwise, he's just better off in a solo lane. I feel like.
Yeah. I
I guess
completely
so.
agree.
I guess so. I think I will agree with that one. That's interesting.
I'm really okay with Smolder being weak. I think it stay weak. It's insanely
No.
boring to face.
My little dragon.
Yeah, your little dragon can stay little, bro.
You've just
Can
grown
stay
attached to that thing because of DOQ, bro. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah. So like you said, Zeri is weak. I think that is so cope. Like Zeri right now, you go like Yontal.
Okay.
Yeah, she is very dependent on like enchanters. They are less picked than um like engaged supports, but I feel like that's just based on popularity of the champions.
I feel like the game
Because
right now is played on two items mostly, and she just doesn't exist at two items, and that's why she'll
that's fair
forever
enough.
feel.
Yeah.
She'll feel bad. Like she's not bad, but she'll feel bad, because most of what happens in the game is at like two items.
Yeah.
Even
So
if
if you
that
go,
last team fight, which is the game deciding one, you're sitting on 3 or 4 and you're Zeri and you wipe the whole team, you had to sit through 10 minutes of just being 2 item Zeri or 1 item Zeri. Like,
yeah.
rope.
I
But yeah.
guess so.
But like I said earlier, I mean, I would agree with you though. Like, I'm not as much as I want to like piss you guys off. I would honestly agree that Smear does look very underwhelming, especially like I said, going towards how the supports are in this current meta as well. Like I would have expected more Samira, right? But I agree with you guys. I think the champ genuinely does look quite underwhelming, and I to some degree needs a buff, right? Because she should function perfectly fine, and she's
She is
clearly
getting a
struggling.
buffed. She is getting buffed next patch, but it's her E attack speed.
Yeah, that's a bit unique in that regard. Again, I'd agree with you, like survivability is kind of her thing, right? And she's kind of lacking those options to also do damage while having survivability. But yeah, you know what? That's how it goes sometimes. Let's talk a bit about the more niche AD carries, right? So obviously you mentioned Samira. I know Vincent, you play a lot of Nyla. Have you played a lot of Nyla recently at all, or have you just not had
No, not
any effort to try her?
particularly.
we
No,
don't
not
talk
really.
about Vincent's current arc, bro. We don't.
Yeah. Right now, if you guys don't know, right now I'm currently in the mountains, honing my jungle skills because I've decided to play Talon jungle and
Can somebody make a good
Kindred.
spitting sound? I can't really do those.
But like mountains implies you're going up, but I've only seen you going down. So
Oh,
surely
but
this
I
is more
am
of like
going
a
up. But the
ditch.
thing is, I am going up on my like super secret ADC Yuju account. I'm like actually gold 2 now.
Let-
So
Holy shit, he's
Should
That's
we
a very
do?
concerning answer.
Should we
I'm
perhaps
doing
do a main account Talon win rate check?
guys, yeah, we can. Let's have a little look, guys. Let's have a
Please,
little look.
please do share in all detail so we can tell exactly how
Yeah.
high this mountain is, or if it's still in the ground.
Right, so I think I've had around like 50 games so far. Yeah, I've
You are 39% win rate on Talon jungle
Wait, you
in
went
solo
down?
queue.
Because
well,
a couple days ago I said, Vincent, you can't drop below 40%, and then you told me 2 days ago, like, oh, I'm at 42%, okay, we're climbing. And I gave you that sort of, yeah, let's go, bro, you're getting up there. And now you're 39%?
okay, but look at my KD. Like I'm a 3.1 KD
Yeah.
throughout the entire. Only like I've played like 50 so games, having a 3.1 KD. You really say it's my fault?
You
Yes.
should play Talon ADC, bro.
True, true. I've been recently playing a lot of Kindred now, and she's going all right. I really enjoy that champion. It's more like an ADC, but I still need to just right now just get into the mindset.
Yeah,
Of
ADC
being-
player, bro.
You're
You should
telling me
understand this
the
better than
ADC
anyone.
The
Does
ADC made
KDA
the
win
rich
game?
character.
Does
my-
KDA win game, Vincent?
I will not comment on
You will
that.
not comment. Yeah, that
I
sounds
will
about
not
right.
comment.
But your Nila is so good, and right now I swear she's like easily in the top 5 of
Yeah, and same with the
best
Kai'Sa. I was
ADCs.
like, yo, Vincent, if you just play Kai'Sa, I swear you'll climb so quickly.
Vincent, call me anytime except when I'm at uni. My Senate is waiting for you always.
True, true. It might have to be after my my mountaineering. But
Yeah.
until
When-
then, until
When
then.
you fall off the cliff eventually because you're gonna be that's a waste of time. But yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, Rogel and Vincent are effectively married on the Rift and bot lane, but they're kind of going through a rough patch right now, so they're not during at all. And
It's
I'm not
like
gonna say who's inflicted it, but you know.
it's just like little observable trend, you know, of like when Vincent person listening to me, win rate up, when stops listening to me, curious things happen to the OP.GG.
Curious silver things happen.
Nobody
And
will
From,
see
to put
me
this into
go,
perspective, Vincent, what was your peak elo when we were playing together?
Emerald 2,
And what is your current elo?
Gold 2 peak so far. I
Curious.
noted,
you went to silver.
I was silver 4 at my lowest. I think, or silver 3, one of the two. But yeah, that's besides the point. I went on like I think I lost like 200 LP in like a month by just losing games.
That is
What-
crazy.
Yeah, I miss you, bro.
That's
That is
absurd.
complete.
I knew the worst part. It's like normally when you hear that sentence, it's someone going like, "Oh, I dropped from GM 800 LP to Master 600 LP." Oh,
No,
damn
no,
it, guys!
no.
I went down from Challenger. No, Vincent, you dropped from, God forbid, Emerald all the way down to fucking Silver.
Top
after about 2
10%
months.
to top 50%. That is baller. That is a baller statistic.
that
I
was
don't
for
even
me.
understand how that happens. There's
What-
no amount of losers queue that can get you that far.
Oh, there is to me only. To me only.
No, buddy. I think the only common denominator in all the games may have been you, unfortunately. But
Unlucky.
not to rag on to you too much more. So let's
It's
move
time
on for
to
a
just-
second.
It's time to just queue the Nila, bro.
Legit, man. Cue the Neela. You'll probably win more games. But speaking, like I said, speaking of the more niche picks, we've gone for the Neela, gone for Smira. Me and my AP Cogmore.
Oh,
That
yeah.
is, oh god, I love that champion so much. But since he's become more popular, I moved on to Zyra, and then suddenly Zyra's become more popular. So now I'm looking for another champion to make my own niche.
Got to
Yes,
be the
to
league
some
hipster,
degree.
eh?
This
Not
is-
even hipster. I don't like when the champ suddenly gets banned or picked, and I'm like, oh shit, what do I do now?
Oh,
someone
I
keeps
relate
doing
to
his
that
thing.
on another level being a Kate main, because as we know, Kate had a mega boom in popularity at the item changes. And the one thing that stuck, her strength hasn't stuck around, but the one thing that stuck around is her ban rate and her pick
Yeah.
rate. Nothing but infinite losers either picking or banning her. They don't understand how it works. and it's just very sad to see.
And the thing is, every time I talk to you, and when you get Caitlyn, you always get paired with a Morgana or a Lux.
Yeah, it's
That's
it's
just
uncanny.
funniest
People who play a lot with me or watch me play, like, they know I have an unprecedented ability to attract first time like synergy pickers, like people who literally just pick a character because they're like, oh, this is good with Caitlyn. Look at the stats say, and so I get first time Bard in my game, and I'm just sat there like, okay, well, surely this guy knows how his champ works. Oh, never mind. He picked it for the ADC synergy, and now he's roam top and given a kill. Well, this is gonna be a long game, chaps. But
The
yeah,
ban rate of Caitlyn staying so high is completely crazy to me. That champ is so weak. Like,
yeah, like, any guesses on what rune I most recently ran on Kate as copium?
illegal, illegal.
The illegal. I literally played my first game of Summon Area Kate the other day, so I don't know. Those are the lows we're reaching. It actually felt pretty good though. I was like clicking on Isaiah's head.
Stop coping, stop coping.
I was clicking on Isaiah's head, bro. She couldn't play the game, bro. Summon Area.
Okay, but is that the rune, or is that the fact that matchup is so annoying for Zaya if she doesn't have like a Rakan
Yeah,
next
you're
to her?
literally,
Because
it's
that
literally
matchup
counter.
is again kind of like I said with Kai'Sa Jinx thing. Whenever I played Zaya, is like Caitlyn was and Jinx both so miserable to play because you're outranged the entire game, right? You walk up to Caitlyn, especially she puts trap down, she nets backwards, and then God forbid you ever use your R. Her R's gonna zone onto your forehead like a JFK. It's terrible, absolutely annoying. But
Yeah, I think she's more of like a counter pick. If you can see their ADC, you can think about if they want to engage onto you. I think she's really good into that kind of
because
regard.
I personally wouldn't say Caitlyn's weak from the
She's
couple
not.
of games I
She
played with her,
works.
but I think the thing is, it's like what I did agree on is she felt so weird in the early game because you don't really have those like combos you used to have, right, with the animation cancelling,
Yep.
but you also don't have like very good attack speed. I feel like, especially with such a long attack range. Like it feels so clunky, which why I don't really like to play her very much. So I've
Yeah.
played her a bit in the past, and I just like it's just something felt so off, and I finally realized when I dropped Bloodline with Alacrity and attack speed rune, it felt like playable. But before that, it just felt so genuinely miserable, and didn't know why.
As Kate main, one of the most common pieces of criticism, because everyone gets criticism from their solo queue teammates, that's just part of the Rift experience. But one of the most common pieces that you get is they just go, yo Kate, you have extra 100 range, like why you no click? And the thing is like this extra range you have is really compensated by the fact that it takes you forever to aim your big ass sniper rifle at them and actually fire the bullet to the point where it doesn't actually turn into that big of an advantage. So it is an advantage, but the expectations that your supports often place on you, or like your team places on you during team fights, you're like, that's just not really how my champ works. Like, I need them to play into me and get set up.
I
And they
think this
expect you
goes
to
on
go
to the
forwards
next
and
point.
start clicking. It's like, if I do that, I'll just get blown up and die instantly.
I think this comes on to the next point, like about her range. I think she, even with her range, she still gets outranged with like the thing I think we're gonna be talking about
Oh
next,
yeah.
like
Oh
mages.
yeah.
Mages, like come on, like Caitlyn has this range, but like she's the one getting outranged. How crazy is that?
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, I feel like mages, even though they're really strong, have been less potent because of how MF and Jinx and Twitch are like strong long range AD carries, or like Twitch can like sneak up on them, and they scale better than the mages. But yeah, the range on all of the mages APC bot lane like champions, they counter a lot of ADCs, and just the archetype of the mage kind of counters the ADC because it like out pushes with AOE abilities, and it's in a 2v2 lane, and having AOE abilities is really strong. And most of like the fact that AD carries have to auto attack, like their damage comes from their auto attacks, which is one like single target. Like they just get out damaged, out pushed by most of the strong mages in bot lane right now.
A classic interaction, I think, is a really good example of this. Is Victor, whose E ability outranges every AD carrier. He doesn't even need to stop walking to cast his E, whereas every ADC needs to stop walking for the auto to leave them. And it just leads to this sort of interaction of like, how do you click on this character? All your damage comes from clicking on the character, how do you click on the character?
Yeah.
You just
It's
can't
too
do
far
it.
away.
You just can't do it.
It is
Unless
a bit
you're
concerning.
MF with your Q, yeah, you can't do
Yep.
it.
So at
I
best,
mean,
most
MF
of
with the
these
Q though.
lanes, if the mage plays human, they turn into a handshake, which the mage benefits from mid game more so than the ADC.
Yeah, but then MF with the Q compared to mages again, like single target single target damage. Whereas if you compare that to a brand Wing the wave, if both you and your support walk up, yeah, that's about equal damage, TBH. Yeah, it's definitely much more potent to deal with, I'd say. And yeah, like obviously we've seen for so long, right? The Ziggs since like about 3 years ago now, right? Since Ziggs became such a like, if you look at pro play, right? If they pick Ziggs and you're not APA, it's basically always going bot lane. So to then have that translate into solo queue as well, you kind of realize like, okay, there's got to be an issue with the way the archetype works with mages, and then how strong bot lane is, because usually, like I said, with AD carries, you can, if you get a good support matchup, right, even some of the worst matchups in bot lane become playable. Like I said, like Xayah to Caitlyn, miserable. If I get Xayah Khan into like a Caitlyn and a Lux who doesn't know what they're doing, it's such an easy lane to play. But like you can have your, let's say, your Jinx Lulu, right? But enemy team picks Ziggs, and then suddenly they have like a Nautilus that's perma roaming, and that Ziggs is still fine because you can just clear his waves and a turret, no problem, and not actually get threatened. And even if he does get threatened, right? The other thing which I think people don't realize is when you play into a mage, like, you have to take you have to take TP to match him. Otherwise, you are always going to be losing out in that lane. Like, it's so hard to punish. Because then if you do kill the Ziggs, right, he just TPs back 20 seconds later, and he still catches the majority of the wave, and you don't get to capitalize on that advantage as much because you took combat summoners, and they're never going to fight you.
Yep. It's just
That champ has been strong for like patches and patches and patches and patches, and then he's just untouched.
I think I'm almost happy with where Ziggs is as a bot lane player. Like he used to be very very ridiculous, and now he's annoying, but it's fine. The only thing I don't like about him is when they increased his Q radius.
Oh yeah.
Like I just feel like so many Ziggs play, like it made the champ too accessible. So many players are getting away with first timing him or just picking him when it's good. Whereas he used to kind of be a champ that you have to dedicate at least a bit of time to, like a few games to start landing in the queues consistently. But now it's just completely free. But other than that, I think he's found a decent niche in bot. But the biggest problem right now is the champs that are still solo lane balanced. And Riot is gonna have to accept this reality eventually. Is like, you cannot have a champ balanced around a solo lane and the duo lane. It just doesn't work. One of them just has to be stronger.
Yeah.
I mean, that's interesting because obviously, the last time I could think, obviously, you have Tristana, right? Like, Tristana, when she's strong, she's usually more of a mid lane pick, more for counters, and like just the fact that she's so easy to burst and play into mages. And the only champ I could think of that was an AD carry that did that was Lucian. And then eventually, what was it, about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago? They nullified Lucian's passive to make it more so based on an enchanter. And then obviously, last year, they made it, or I don't know, 8 months ago, they introduced the whole like, oh, if enemies are CC'd, so he still has incentive to play bot lane
Yeah.
and not just with like a Navi, which I think is very interesting because they clearly have the capability to try these things, but they don't do them for mages yet because they're still just way less potent. And I guess Lucian's been around for a lot longer, but
And it's also a lot of negotiation with the player base of these champs, because a lot of the people who play mages do want to play them mid. And even if the design and the archetype of the champ makes way more sense bot, which I think is the case for a lot of them, like I keep talking about Victor. I think Victor belongs bot, just the way he plays. But the way that they're designed, a lot of the mains want to play them mid, and that's a very hard thing to deal with as a game designer, because you can't just go up to this community of players and say, you guys are going to have to role swap if you want to keep playing your main. So it's a catch-22.
Isn't that what happened to Corki though?
I mean, yeah, it literally is.
yeah, but it was also been around since the
But
beginning, and he's been changed.
what happened to
And then he was
Corki
changed back.
players? The mid players just switched to different mid champs, and the AD carry main started picking up Corki because it was just really good. It wasn't like Corki mains migrating bot. It was just the champ got sort of handed over to AD players.
Yeah, because he obviously used to be the whole AP poke, and then obviously now they've gone back to his original iteration where his passive is completely
Yeah.
different. They still don't have the package anymore. But of course, I'm sure you can remember. I swear again, about 7 months ago now, there was a whole Halo Blaze Attack Corki bot lane, which took over for about a patch or two, which everyone can agree was just such an unhealthy characteristic. Because you could play it mid, but everyone agreed just bot was so much more potent, one that was strong. And then when that fell out of obscurity, when the Attack got nerfed, he went back to mid lane within 2 patches, like as a more strong pick mid, which is again, I guess you could say it's more of a fad with a lot of these things, but it's so hard to balance because I would agree, like as a mage like Zyra is better bot lane simply because of the way she functions, but you can still play her mid. It's just she has way worse for time. Like the matchups are not playable there.
For sure, for sure. And assassins have been spiking in popularity and power recently, and we're about to see another buff to electrocute, taking it from 50 to 70 base damage. That sounds a bit crazy, no, guys?
It's disgusting. 20 damage level 1 is genuinely such a huge difference, and I think a lot of people don't understand that factor.
Talon
Which
40%
is
banner rate
concerning.
incoming.
Hey
Yeah,
Vincent, look at that. You're gonna have to go back to AD carry by force.
I've been
You
playing.
guys know.
I've been playing with Jacob. I've been doing Jacob, and he told me because he plays. He's a Vlad OTP, like full on Vlad top OTP, and he told me earlier today by seeing the electrocute buffs that that champ will probably be completely broken because of the like it's around 300 damage with his level 3 all-in or like level 3 combo, which is absurd. Like the buffs to electrocute will make so many mid champs even stronger. Maybe it will make them. Maybe it will incentivize them to go mid lane more because bot lane is like they go poke runes because of the 2v2. Maybe it will change the AD carries, but it will just be even stronger mid lane.
Hopefully.
I think like Vlad's a perfect example as well because he's one of those champs, especially if you play a lot of mid. The actual like if you're against a skilled Vlad, the lethal range is very deceptive, and the fact that it's going to become even bigger now, very scary. Like he's a champ who's known for suddenly flashing on you, and you're like, well, where did I go? And it's going to get even stronger now. Then again, we haven't seen much of Vlad mid since he's been more popular top, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he's just still niche. But I mean, on top of that, I mean, not to go too much into what's happening in the patch, but I do recall seeing Halo Blades again getting buffed back up to I think where it used to be, which is
140%.
12-second cooldown to 10-second and 110% to 140% attack speed.
Yeah,
And all
Corki's
I can
gonna
think of for
be
that is
even
Pike.
stronger.
Hob
Corki
Kate is going to
maybe,
be
but
back as well. Halo Blaze Kate fell off a bit, but I can see like you can super with 140% attack speed. You can super abuse the range now. Problem is like it was good choice, but you lost a lot of value if they just decided not to interact. But now they kind of have no choice, especially if you net forwards for it.
I mean,
So-
I think Varus, because obviously
Varus,
the Vitality
true.
build
Varus,
with
very
the
true.
power fail base come back, and I think that will be even more potent, which is very interesting to see how they'll balance that. Because Varus is, as I think, in my opinion, I think Varus is one of those AD carries that has never, in its history, since I've been playing this game for like 5 years now, I don't think he's ever been weak. I also think he's ever been particularly too strong, except for the times where he was literally meta. But even then, I wonder what do you guys have to think about that? Like Halo Blades buff, do you think that's going to affect many things bot links? I'm thinking Pike. What are you guys thinking?
Vincent, any thoughts?
No,
I have a champion in mind that we
No,
talked
no,
about
no.
earlier.
Okay, let's hear it.
Kaisa.
Yes, yes, I was
Halo
going
Ooh,
to say that
yeah.
as
Blades,
well.
Kaisa, full crit, Storm Raise. I mean, Shadow Flame
Don't say
is going.
Stormraiser, bro. I'm so sad. We'll get into that later, but I'm so sad about Stormraiser.
No rants
Yeah,
on the Owen.
yeah, Shadow Flame. Like with that build, you don't even need Yuntal or I mean, you still need it for the E-Evo, but with Halo Blaze, do you really need the E-Evo? Like, you don't really build attack speed if you're gonna go Halo Blaze. You want to build full damage. So you go
Yeah.
her Q. You're gonna go Q auto W with the crit on the Shadow Flame with the all the AD that you have plus the cooldown reduction that you have with Essence Reaver. It's gonna be she's gonna be able to do that combo and she's gonna be very strong. Like once people start picking up more of that build with Essence Reaver IE, maybe Yuntal, but with Shadow Flame being the very strong late
Yeah, mandatory.
mandatory late game item, is gonna be very she's gonna be top tier. Very
I have a
potent.
funny one that might not be really good, but remember Halo Blades Jin? Do you think that's still good or
Oh, the plus 50 AD on one
yeah?
auto.
Ultra hidden
I
tech.
mean, maybe it's definitely an interesting thought to come back to.
Cause yeah, I was just thinking of like what champions were using Halo Blades like before, and like seeing if like maybe they're coming back with it. I was also thinking about Draven Halo Blades. That seems a little bit insane early game because you can just
If he
poke
gets
them with
2
like
axes and manages to throw 2 of them at
yeah,
you that
Yeah.
yeah,
quickly, yeah.
Because I think the way Draven trades, right? It's like, if I remember correctly, you keep the hacks, you stack another axe, then when you go for the all in, you get the third axe, and then I think with Halo Blaze, yeah, that can be incredibly abusable.
yeah. I think
Like
that's a really good like
But I would
push.
say, because
Hmm.
Draven's only noticeable feature right now of why he's strong is still literally just his insane early game. I don't know how much Draven mains would want to change from that like PTA for the scaling, right? Because I think his early game is strong
Yeah.
enough that he wouldn't need the Hail Blades buff, and the incentive wouldn't change much. But like I said, I'd be happy to see like what happens, of course.
What
But it
about the
really
hated the Halo Blades Ash support?
Nah, fuck that.
That
You
shit
think that's
ain't.
gonna be
Halo Blades Ash ADC, bro, on top.
good?
lethality Hail Blades Ash. Okay, I
Yeah,
like it.
static shiv lethality.
I'll just wait, I'll be cooking up some more Praetorian specials, so don't worry about
I
it.
was gonna
Again.
say also with the Draven, I think going Halo Blades after the buffs with Draven is gonna make him even worse against tanks because right now the meta build is BT Collector, right? So it's literally 0 damage against tanks. Like that champ, if there's a Malphite, if there's fucking Ornn Shen, anything that's a bit tanky, health stackers, he's not gonna have a good time.
We've all seen the video, right?
Yep, yep.
Yeah, yeah.
That fucking Maokai support, or was it Leona with 2 items and a full build Draven not doing any damage?
Yeah, I think it
With
was a
Halo
1 item
Blades, gonna be.
Maokai running at a
Oh
3
yeah,
item
yeah,
Draven. With the
yeah.
build that you just described, yeah.
It's like Halo Blades is gonna be such bait, especially on Draven, if tanks don't get changed because tanks right now, ugh, literally ugh, like so disgusting. And with more AD carries building Halo Blades, they're gonna be doing even less damage to them because of like PTA and lethal tempo being so much better against tanks. I don't know.
Hmm.
Definitely, yeah. I think we're all in agreement, obviously, with the Halo Blade Draven could, but probably shouldn't change much based on his current strengths. I can't see anything else. Only thing I can think of, again, this is a bit more niche. It's like Halo Blade's Cogmore, because that's been something that's kind of I've played once or twice. It has very good strengths, but again, it's more of a matchup specific thing. So I would not hesitate to say that champs that could run Halo Blades like Draven, like Kaiser, Varus, take your pick. Even Tristana, actually. Tristana would be one I could think of where it's like maybe people pick it more. But again, depend a bit more on matchup, which I think is good. I think having that diversity in your runes has always been a good thing. I think if one champ goes from having rune diversity to having only one rune, it's a bit of a question mark for how the game's going
Well,
or how the
specifically for
balance they
you,
are.
Zach, what do you think about Halo Blade's Echo? Because I've seen that be used a lot on him
Uh,
already.
things I think it's perfectly strong. I think because it makes sense. I remember seeing it obviously, and I was thinking, how does this work? Then I realized the only one he runs otherwise is electrocute, and I think Hellblade's your passive is just your strongest power kit, and it's so cheesy. Like the only thing I'd say is it definitely made him more relevant mid than jungle, which I actually prefer because that's how he's meant to be. It doesn't affect him too much. It just gives him a better early game, I'd say. Like his Echo kind of scales insanely, but that champ is pure feast or famine, like completely pure feast or famine. Echo either gets fed and carries the game, or he does quite literally nothing. So I think Hellblade's Echo was just a very good boost to his early game, which he kind of lacked. He had like one or two good matchups mid, but generally speaking, you kind of just sit back, max range Q the wave, and then like collect your CS. And
Hmm.
after you get to level 7, I think it was around level 7, you can finally start to contest waves, shove them, and look for the roams yourself, as you should with an assassin.
Alright, we done talking about Halo Blades? Because there's another very interesting change coming up.
Yeah, go for it.
Attack speed cap
Yeah.
is increasing by a pretty considerable amount. Anyone want first crack at this?
Yeah, sure. ADC will be back. As I said, I like high attacks, high APM. Maybe you'll see me play more champions. More, but maybe you see me come back to ADC. Maybe.
I
I'm
think
not
that's what
saying
will
this
tide you
is.
over.
Maybe. I might have to come back, play a bit of like ADC, maybe play like Twitch or something, just to feel how, like, feel the gliding, feeling how to glide again. Yeah.
And do you think because of this we'll ever see Yuntal and Rageblade in the same build?
Oh, that is a good
Stack
one.
Rage on the wave and then open with Yuntal at like infinite AS.
Wait, Yuntal Halo Blades. How much attack speed do you get?
All
Was
of it.
like,
You hit
yeah,
cap probably. Yeah.
you hit cap in 3 first autos. That must be really nice.
Well, for some champs, yeah.
Yeah.
But hit the Halo Blades Vayne Yuntal. Don't think about
Nah.
it. The Vayne
Vayne is
incident.
perfectly fine right
Ah, we
now.
didn't really mention Vayne at all. We talk about strong champs right now. But I've
Yeah,
been
she's not
really enjoying playing Vayne.
she's not strong. She's just like not weak, which is good
I,
for Vayne.
I think Vayne players, people who actually play Vayne, like know how to play her, are feasting Aran. Like that's character is some of the most playable it's ever been recently.
Why do you think that's the case compared to before?
I'm not really sure. I mean, she's obviously enjoyed being the sort of poster child anti-tank champ. We've been in a tank meta for quite a while. But also just the way that bot is being played right now, she does counter a lot of these sort of static scalers because she can just run them down with a good support pairing. And she's having a pretty easy time into a lot of the current champs right now aren't champs that super contest you or zone you. So even while they're happy to scale and hit their items, Vayne is sitting in the sidelines and just collecting her farm, turning into a monster. And it's probably the least contested she's been on waves in quite a while. So she's just happy to see us. And then runes are feeling good on her right now. Items favoring champs that have damage built into their kit. Those are the factors that I think are contributing to Vayne's playability.
Makes
I
sense.
also I also think earlier we said that enchanters weren't as like picked as engaged supports, but personally, I've personally seen more enchanters. So I think the fact is that enchanters are strong, are pretty strong right now because of how Twitch and Jinx are meta, stuff like that. Like Vayne with a Lulu, you go Kraken Ginsu's Terminus, it's really good. Or even Blade if you're coping enough. But I think that's also why she's strong is because how enchanters make her like literally make Vayne a champ. You can go any enchanter like Janna or Lulu or Nami, something like that. It makes her a champ, which she was not. Like for a long time, Vayne was just so weak. Even with an enchanter, it was so unplayable. But now I don't know. Yeah, maybe tanks being
It's
meta
kind of
also
hard to
makes.
pinpoint what changed, but it's definitely
Yeah,
there. Like, there, you can definitely feel it. And also, like,
I would.
I think, like, more so than usual, you're happy to see whatever support when you see Vayne, because you can just, I mean, you should be doing this anyway, but it's just Q maxing, and your Q max all in, even with an all in champ as your support. If that condemn lands, or if they hard CC enemy ADC, it's usually a kill, even when they have flash.
I would say it sounds like more one of those more gradual things where it's like people realize Champ like it has its weaknesses, but obviously has its strengths. And over time, people start to try it a bit more. Like, oh, maybe Vin's good counter pick here. Maybe it fits into our comp better, or maybe just we want to try a different champion, right? Because that's how I feel like that happens with a lot of these more obscure champs who are in the past you'd only pick them as, oh, this is a counter pick only champ, kind of like Zaya, right? Like Zaya kind of shot from that popularity when it became popular because people slowly realized, wait, this champ has a lot of urgency. It has a lot of these positives which now outweigh the negatives, which is what I'd apply to Vayne. I think right now because I definitely feel like as I've seen it more myself, right? It's less in solo lanes, thank God, and more in bot lane. And again, I've seen it paired with Lulu. I've seen it paired with Nami a lot. I've also seen it paired with like your standard Leona, right? Your standard Braum, whatever you want to pick. So yeah, I would definitely say that factor of just time has been the main reason she's become more popular, even
Mm.
though she's not really overpowered or like there's no
Yeah, I don't think she's OP. Yeah.
hidden tech or whatever.
Vayne is a great segue into another system change that's coming, which is that true damage is now going to be affected by runes. What do people think about that?
The amp, yeah. I think that's
I think that's like a good change.
Isn't that
I would
just another
say.
Corky buff?
it's a
Uh,
lot of champs buff
You can
technically.
think it like that actually. Now I'm
Like a
thinking
Halo
about it.
Blades buff, true damage buff?
But that,
If
I mean,
you
that's to
yeah.
a certain degree. But that was the Halo basing was more because you'd also be able to rush lethality item when what was it opportunity was like really cheap. So I'd say it's less about the true damage, more about the build. The two champs I would say though, maybe possibly only one of them affects bot lane would be Camille and Fiora, like PTA.
Yeah.
Like
I
that's the
was
first thoughts I have.
I'm thinking about yeah. Camille
Yep.
true damage Q. Maybe she can hit 1k again.
Yeah,
Which
or even
uh
Halo Blade support Camille. It's like that could
oh
possibly
yeah,
be a
yeah,
bit more
yeah.
relevant again. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's a
Vayne with
hard thing to say.
PTA.
PTA Vayne feels really good already. And now just imagine that extra damage, like the percentage proc,
Yeah, with Q getting
making your
proc
W
with
do
it,
even more
yeah.
damage. I think it'll make it even better as anti-tank as well, because when you run PTA, you lose a bit of anti-tank value, because you're not on lethal tempo. But now you kind of have lethal tempo the item, and you can run PTA, so you don't really lose anything, and you're gonna have a big damage spike.
I mean,
Is lethal
Vayne,
tempo the item Ginsu's?
Ginsu's or Yunta, I'll take a pick.
Hmm.
Vayne used to be PTA, I remember. Now, obviously, she's switched to more lethal tempo. I still think PTA is better. I haven't played it though, so I don't know. But I swear PTA just seems better for Vayne
Statistically,
though.
lethal is better, but
Yeah, but
PTA, in my experience, feels better.
that's just because people, like you said, before she was more picked, people picked her against tanks, and lethal tempo to tanks is better.
Hmm.
So I think that's why. But I agree. PTA I think is feels stronger. You have more agency in lane, and I just think it's really nice. Like I've seen Reptile going PTA. It's really nice.
All right. I think one of the next things we wanted to talk about was we wanted to touch on the new champion a little bit. Mel. How's
Ew.
everyone feeling about Mel?
Ah, wow. Even after hot fixes, this champion, this absolute champion. Ugh, disgusting. Tell me why. Tell me why Riot thought having a invulnerability on a W on a 20-second cooldown, that's basically a KO ult on a basic ability was okay. I mean, I
I've
don't
never
know,
heard
man.
anyone use that analogy, but now that you point it out, that does sound even more disturbing. The fact that
Right.
it does kind of just do KO ult. I mean, obviously the duration is much less, but yeah, I haven't thought
Ugh.
about it like that, and now I feel really uncomfortable. Thank you, Vincent.
Just yeah, guys. What do you guys think? I just like this champion. You play assassin, you play anything. I saw a video of a Caitlyn trying to headshot this
Oh
Mel.
man,
Mel
that
reflected
clip.
it back, and she died.
That clip literally
Well,
feels like watching war footage on Twitter. Like it doesn't feel okay. Like you're watching it, you're like, oh my god, I have 1,000 yards stare now. What did I just see?
it was
She
crazy.
literally instantly kills herself on the
The
reflect.
fact that she deflects empowered autos like Draven Axe and Caitlyn and Jhin Fourth Shot, it makes no sense to me. Like it's a point
Really,
and click auto attack. It makes no sense for it to
it's
be
like
deflectable. Like
I
what?
feel like it's just like what do you call it? It's like what's the word? Like Jack's W, Jack's E, where like instead of like dodging, it's like coded in a way where it's like, I will shoot this back at you, kind of way. It's just
I
like
mean,
anything.
it sounds more to me like Nyla W actually, because Nyla W would also block a lot of effects, not
Yeah,
just
yeah,
auto
yeah.
attacks.
Hmm.
And I thought Nyla W was kind of one of those abilities that's definitely overtuned and shouldn't be the way it is. And in this champ, I'd say it's like for that, I would agree. I think if it didn't block auto attacks, then it would be fine. Like if you could reflect abilities, whatever, that I think that's perfectly fine. But to counter auto attacks, I think that's a bit ridiculous.
I
To also
think
reflect it.
ranged auto attacks is fine, but I think melee auto attacks where she's invulnerable to like everything in that 1 second is a little bit like egregious.
I mean, I
Yeah.
think it should be abilities focus only. I don't think it's Like I think again, it's like if you're melee as Mel, it's like in theory you've been
Or
caught
just
out, right?
Yeah,
projectiles.
my fix to it would be going off that. It should be a zone around her that you can enter. Because if she fails that positioning check, you're playing a range champion. She's a very
So
ranged champion. If you fail your positioning that badly, that a melee champ has found their way into your face, and you just get to
I
say
guess
no to their ability in melee range, like, aren't you just better Vex at that point? Like, how's that
I mean at
fair?
that point it's just Zinjao on a passive,
Yeah.
which would be also an interesting like segue for that. But like I don't know, I think it's yeah. I think aside from the W, like I don't want to fix it on too much, but we'll go back to it in a second. But like I think if you don't get a genuine counterpick in this champion, like let's say Galio or like Yone or Pantheon, you know, something that can actually like genuinely just face tank some of the abilities and then get onto it pretty easily, I think that it's miserable as hell to play into. Like, the range is absurd, the damage is absurd, the safety as well, like the item power spike, everything about the champ is really good, like insanely good even.
Hmm.
Like she's like the first champion in like a quite a long time that had a positive win rate on release.
Yeah, and S tier, S plus tier.
Yeah,
She
as a
seems like
champion.
thematically like she should be hard and she should be a champ that like you have to invest time into, but everyone
Yeah,
just picks her up, first times her, instantly gets the maximum value from her kit. Like feels like a champ that should have some barriers to entry, but it just doesn't. So you get these crazy benefits. You scale like early in goddamn soul, but you're even more durable somehow. And it's wild.
Yeah. To be
Yeah,
fair, she doesn't have very strong roaming power though, but you don't really need roaming power if you play her APC, which is one of the roles. I think she's, in my opinion, she's stronger in mid lane, but oh my god, in bot lane, how fucking OP is this character? Like, she outranges the highest range ADCs and even the highest range APCs like Victor. Like she can outrange Victor or like go even. I just think that's like completely busted. Like she can kill you under your tower while she's not under your tower. I played a game, I think it was in Flex, where I was Twitch into Mel APC. I was like the other side of my tower, just hiding because of how obscenely oppressive her laning is. Just like that amount of range. And I'm a Twitch, like with my R. I guess when I don't have it, like it's normal. The Twitch has kind of a hard lane if he's not with a enchanter, but even then, like just that range, that much power, like oppressive power. She doesn't need to roam if she's APC. It just makes her like the perfect fit for that role, the perfect mage for that role, and she can negate like engage supports with a W. That's just crazy to me.
Yeah, I think Riot needs to learn because they a lot of their modern designs suffer from the problem of like you've added an ability that doesn't enable the person playing the champ to do something cool, but it just stops their opponent from doing something cool. So like one of the reasons Zeri was so annoying is because like when she was released, she had effective unlimited kiting. And so that wasn't something cool that Zeri could do. That was just something the enemy team couldn't do about it. Like you cannot catch her. It was the fact that she can bail over a wall, and that's why she was like fun, but she was hated on release because there was just a part of gameplay that you couldn't do anything about. It's like Mel suffers from this with the range on the Q. It's just something that enemy like you can't do anything about as a laner. It's literally like same range as like Zerath Q, and Zerath Q is harder to
yeah.
hit. So it's just like forcing the opponent to do something instead of doing something yourself as the champ. I think it's very dangerous pattern. Must avoid when designing this.
Especially with the fact that she's not infinitely scaling, right? But her passive scales pretty well. So I think when you have these champions, you know, because again, you can say the same things like Kale, you know, like Nasus or Smolder,
Mm.
you know, like a lot of these champs do have, especially you know Mel and Smolder, they have that unattractive gameplay style, which is so negative, while they're also being technically rewarded for you not punishing them. But then there's no definite like the other than them being just having flat weak stats, specifically Smolder, right? There would be no actual way or incentive of punishing them, which, like I said, is just really bad gameplay design. Of they don't do anything, but it forces you to do something, which isn't fair at all. And
Yeah.
again, the same goes for any sort of like either Zeri again, like oh, Zeri's gonna hit 2 items, guys. She's got Lulu. If you literally don't just shove every single resource into putting her down, she's gonna become a problem. And I think everyone can agree, like these champions are just generally speaking have been problematic over times.
Yeah, we
Which
definitely
shows
saw
the lack of
this in
understanding.
with Smoldering Pro during Worlds. A lot of matches that everyone was hyped for that should have been really exciting boiled down to just, well, it's Smolder waiting room,
Well, it's
and
40 minutes.
you know, like you had some of the lowest kill games that you've ever seen in Pro, the lowest action, and like the fans and the viewers, they're like paying to see these two teams fight, like the two best teams, like face off against each other and fight. They're not paying to watch them scale. I think as a game designer, you kind of failed if the best option on any given patch is to sit as far away as you can from your opponent and wait. But
Exactly.
yeah, I think we all agree on that, so we can move on.
I just think I'm just happy they didn't add a max HP kind of like something on the champion, because that would have been like even worse. At least they had the decency to not put in max HP damage on her execute or something like that, dude. Ooh, that is something. That is something.
I mean, yeah, it's just like with the passive, what it's just basically like kind of like a passive stack of how many casts you have, or how many auto attacks or whatever it is. But mm, yeah, it's a good thing they didn't overtune it that much. But obviously,
like
yeah, looking at the champ now, it's very. You look at it, you realize the champ is actually really simple. Like the champ is genuinely very simple to play, which I don't think is a bad thing.
Mm.
But I also don't understand why they make a champ so simple be so strong as it can be.
It's
Yeah,
like champions like Garen and stuff. Like, oh, these champions are so strong, but they're so simple to play.
it just results in headaches naturally when you have that kind
Yeah.
of a pattern. Okay, so let's bring the last thing about Mal. What would you tell the viewers watching this, who are AD carry players or mid lane players? What do you do when you see Mal on an enemy team? What should you pick? What have you guys been? How have you guys been coping with Mal?
I
Galio.
permaban it.
Hope,
Yeah, that's
just
fair.
hope, man. I think try your best. I think in terms of what I think is good, just pick MF. I think is good because never go wrong with that champion. And considering because it's like all engage meta right now,
Yeah.
go with like just go with like the strongest thing, which is like MF.
I mean, you can
I think
itemize Vamp Scepter on that character. It makes it a lot more playable.
I know
as well.
what counters Mel.
Oh yeah.
Another AP character.
Oh hell
Just
yeah.
just go Hui or Brand or Ziggs or
Bro,
Lux.
the answer is
Victor.
always six.
Yeah.
But
Literally, how to
yeah.
counter cancer, Ebola or AIDS.
Yeah.
Okay, buddy. But I'd agree. I'd say, like I said, it just comes down to a battle range at that point where you just kind of pick your own way, pick your zigs, pick whatever you're comfortable to play.
At the very least,
into
something that
Mal.
scales the same.
And if it has to
Yeah.
be an ADC, honestly, like if it is an ADC, I don't want to say something like Vayne, because then you can actually have an option of possibly running her down
Yeah.
at like certain power
Yeah,
spikes.
I think
I've
that's good.
seen a lot of people fall into the trap against Mel of trying to survive the lane phase, but she's actually very weak if you manage to get in her face. Now, this can become very problematic if enemy jungle is good, because they'll just path to you and kill you, but assuming that you got some wards up and you're tracking enemy jungle, getting in her face actually does throw off Mel players, especially the inexperienced ones.
Especially where I referred to mid, is like what have I seen played into it? What have I played into it? It's like Galio, Pantheon, Yone, these champs which can get into her face and do have that actual like burst combination where it's like, okay, again, like the standard range into melee, you trade your HP, you get the wave shove, but in this case you trade your HP, she backs off because they're cowards,
We had a
It was
great
like-
example of this. We were playing Flex earlier, and it was like literally my first time playing into this champ. I was like, okay, and someone said Galio. I was like, okay, pull out the Galio, and I was literally cackling. I was dying laughing during this
I think
match,
it was
watching her.
Zach. Didn't Zach say that?
What, to pick Galio?
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, to pick Galio.
But because I didn't know what to pick, and I was just in the call, everyone was trying to focus on the game. I was just dying of laughter because she couldn't do any damage to her. I was like, really? Is this the thing everyone's been scared of? But obviously,
more
obviously,
than
is a favorite matchup by a lot.
I
but-
It was more of a test when I asked you because I'd seen it. I
Hmm.
was like, I wanted to confirm because like if Galio, again the anti-tank mage can't deal with this champ, then there's a huge problem. But it fares fine enough. It's like
Oh,
okay,
I
it's not
was
that big
having
of a
a
problem.
great time.
Yeah, evidently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Mel, we'll see, right? As long as she, again, I think what everyone's thinking, like secretly, is like as long as she doesn't become another Cassante, it's like couldn't be that bad.
Yeah.
And,
I think the only like alarm bells take I've seen has been Druted. The way he explained it was that he was playing a lot of champs that on release were performing very very badly, and he was sort of like crying wolf to the community, like, yo, this has a low win rate, but I'm a good player and I'm telling you this is OP. And then he goes on to Korea, as he said, and his 70% win rate channel on it. And he's
Yeah, with
saying,
Briar.
and so he's saying, you guys can trust me because of that. And I'm telling you Mel is not okay. And that's the most recent take I've seen from him. He's like, I'm telling you this character is not okay. So if he is any reliable source to go off, which is up to you, but I think it's something to be potentially concerned about. Any last thoughts on Mel?
No, not particularly.
Remove champion.
Yeah,
At least
remove
she's
it
hot.
right. Yeah. But I was feeling for that character in Arcane before she got added. But that's enough of that.
Of course
Anyway,
you were.
does
That's a
anyone
very
have
valid discussion.
anything else they want to talk about before we wrap up?
No, I think that's it for me.
Alright.
I've said what I had to say.
You said a lot of things.
I have,
You got anything else to add? Last second, nothing more.
Buff Samira.
Buff Samira.
Honestly, valid
Agreed.
ones again.
You know what?
Agreed.
I don't even hate it. Like I said earlier, give Samira lifesteal back in her core.
Yep, that's all I want.
In any case,
Yeah.
thank you guys for choosing to listen to the podcast today. Hope to see you again in the next episode where we'll probably be discussing another lane with another guest. That's all from us tonight. Bye.
Ciao,
Bye-bye.
ciao.
Bye bye.